The big meeting room on the space station was full of worried voices. Leaders from many different alien races sat around a huge table that glowed with soft blue light. Their faces showed fear and panic. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like walking crystals, but they all shared the same terrified look in their eyes. Ambassador Kethvar from the Zelani people stood up slowly. His green skin was pale and his hands shook as he spoke. The Vorthak Empire has broken through our last defense line. They destroyed the Kepler system yesterday. 3 billion people are dead. A female alien with gills on her neck gasped. Council. Leader Irental had ruled the Aquari people for 50 years, but she had never seen anything this bad. How many ships do they have now? Our scouts counted over 2,000 warships, Kethvar replied. His voice was quiet and defeated. They move from system to system like a plague. They take everything and leave nothing but dead worlds behind them. An alien that looked like a giant cat with 4 arms slammed his fist on the table. General Zorth from the Korath warrior clan had fought in 100 battles, but even he looked scared. My people have been fighting them for 6 months. We lost half our fleet. Their weapons cut through our shields like they are made of paper. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The Vorthak Empire had been growing stronger for years. They started as a small group of raiders, but now they controlled a quarter of the galaxy. Their ships were fast, and their weapons were powerful. Worse, they never showed mercy to anyone who got in their way. We need to combine all our fleets, said Captain Veltar from the crystal people called the Thekmor. If we work together, maybe we can stop them? We tried that already, Irental answered sadly. The Battle of Rigel was a disaster. We lost 800 ships, and they lost maybe 50. Their technology is too advanced for us. At the back of the room, a human man sat quietly in a simple blue uniform. Admiral Jake Morrison was in his 50s, with gray hair and calm brown eyes. He had been listening to everything without saying a word. Most of the aliens forgot he was even there. The humans were new to the Galactic Council. Earth had only joined 5 years ago when they invented faster-than-light travel. Most aliens thought humans were primitive and weak. Their planet was small, and their population was tiny compared to the great empires that ruled the galaxy. What about asking the Hegemon Empire for help? Suggested someone from the back. The Hegemon won't get involved, Kethvar replied. They said the Vorthak problem is not their concern. They are too busy fighting their own wars in the Outer Rim. The Syndicate? They want payment we cannot afford. 10,000 tons of rare crystals for each ship they send. More voices filled the room with desperate suggestions. Some wanted to hide on distant planets. Others talked about surrendering and hoping the Vorthak would show mercy. A few suggested they should all run away, to another galaxy. Admiral Morrison finally stood up. The room slowly became quiet as the aliens noticed him. He was not very tall, and he did not look special, but something about his calm manner made people pay attention. "Excuse me," Morrison said in a polite voice. "I have been listening to your discussion. The human government would like to offer assistance." Several aliens laughed. A Korath warrior named Gorthmel shook his head. "No offense, human, but your people just learned how to leave your home system. What could you possibly do against the Vorthak?" Morrison smiled slightly. "We have been preparing for this situation for some time. Earth Command has been watching the Vorthak advance for the past 8 months. We know their ship designs, their battle tactics, and their weaknesses." Weaknesses? Irental leaned forward with interest. "Our best military minds have studied them for years. They seem to have no weaknesses." "Every military force has weaknesses," Morrison replied calmly. "The Vorthak rely too much on brute force and overwhelming numbers. They use the same attack patterns in every battle. Their ships are powerful but not very flexible." Kethvar looked hopeful for the first time in weeks. "What are you suggesting?" Morrison touched a small device on his wrist. I am suggesting that humanity deals with the Vorthak problem. We have developed some new technologies that might be effective against them. The room erupted in surprised voices. Most aliens could not believe what they were hearing. The humans wanted to fight the Vorthak Empire alone. It seemed impossible. "How many ships do you have?" asked General Zorth. "Currently, we have about 300 combat vessels ready for deployment," Morrison answered. The aliens looked at each other in disbelief. 300 ships against 2,000? It was suicide. "Admiral Morrison," Irental said gently, "we appreciate your courage, but this is not a battle you can win. The Vorthak have destroyed fleets 10 times larger than yours." Morrison nodded. "I understand your concern, but human military doctrine is different from yours. We do not believe in fair fights. We believe in overwhelming technological advantage and decisive action." He activated his communication device. "This is Admiral Morrison to Earth Command. Send authorization code Alpha 77. A voice responded immediately from the device. "Morrison, this is General Patricia Clark at Earth Defense Headquarters. What is your situation?" "The Galactic Council is facing total defeat by the Vorthak Empire. Request permission to initiate Operation Thunderstrike." There was a brief pause. Then the voice came back, calm and professional. "Permission granted, Admiral. Fleet Alpha is standing by for immediate deployment. Do you want the full package?" Morrison looked around the room at all the alien faces, watching him. Some looked curious, others looked worried, but most just looked confused. "Affirmative, General. Send everything we have. It is time to introduce the galaxy to human military capabilities." "Understood. Fleet Alpha will jump to your coordinates in 10 minutes. Admiral Sullivan sends her regards and says to tell you the new weapons performed perfectly in the test runs." Morrison turned off the device and faced the council. "Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest you move your ships to a safe distance. In approximately 15 minutes, you will witness the end of the Vorthak Empire." The aliens stared at him in shocked silence. This human was either completely insane or humanity had been hiding something very important from the rest of the galaxy. Space around the Kepler 442 system looked empty and peaceful. Then it started to change. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist in strange ways. The alien ships that were hiding behind the gas giant watched in amazement as tears appeared in space. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereign. She was a woman in her 30s with short black hair and steady hands. Her ship was one of the biggest in the human fleet. It was 2 kilometers long and covered in thick armor plating that gleamed like silver. "Jump sequence complete," announced Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner from his station. "All ships report successful arrival. No damage to any vessel." Lisa looked at her main screen. It showed space filled with human warships as far as she could see. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and massive carriers had all appeared at the same time. Each ship had the sharp, angular design that marked human engineering. They looked like metal sharks ready to hunt. "How many ships total?" Lisa asked. 237 combat vessels, Captain," Alex replied, "plus support ships for repairs and supplies. Admiral Sullivan is commanding from the UES Retribution." On the alien command ship, General Zektar watched the human arrival with mild interest. He was a Vorthak commander who had conquered 12 star systems. His people looked like giant lizards with 6 arms and red eyes. They believed that strength was the only thing that mattered in the universe. "The humans have arrived," reported his tactical officer, Velkan. "Their ships appear to be made from basic metals and simple technology. Energy readings are very low." Zektar laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "How many ships do they have?" "Approximately 250 vessels, General. Our fleet has over 800 ships." "Good. We will crush them quickly and then finish destroying the Council worlds. The humans will learn why the galaxy fears the Vorthak Empire." The Vorthak ships were huge and dark. They looked like flying fortresses covered in weapons. Each one was 3 times larger than the biggest human ship. Their hulls were black and covered in spikes. Strange energy fields glowed around them like evil auras. Admiral Katie Sullivan commanded the human fleet. From the bridge of the UES Retribution, she was a tall woman with blonde hair and ice-blue eyes. She had been fighting space battles in simulators since she was 10 years old. Now she was about to fight her first real battle against alien enemies. "All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan," she announced over the fleet communication system. "Form attack formation Delta 9. Prepare all weapon systems for combat." The human ships moved like dancers in perfect formation. Each captain knew exactly where to go and what to do. They had practiced this maneuver hundreds of times. The fleet spread out in a wide line, with the biggest ships in the center and the fastest ships on the edges. Captain Ben Harris commanded the destroyer UES Lightning. His ship was small but very fast. It carried some of the most advanced weapons in the human fleet. "All stations report ready, Captain," said his weapons officer, Lieutenant Dana Foster. "Good. Target the enemy flagship and prepare for rapid fire," Ben ordered. Meanwhile, the alien council ships watched from a safe distance. Ambassador Kethavar stood on his bridge with his mouth open in shock. "Look at how they move," he whispered. "Every ship knows exactly what to do. They move like they share one mind." Captain Yel Nara of the Aquari ship Deep Current nodded in agreement. "I have never seen such precise coordination. How do they communicate so quickly?" The truth was that human ships used quantum communication systems that worked faster than light. Every captain could talk to every other captain instantly. They also used artificial intelligence computers that could calculate the best battle plans in seconds. Admiral Sullivan opened a channel to the Vorthak fleet. "Attention Vorthak vessels. This is Admiral Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. You have attacked innocent civilizations and committed genocide. Surrender now or face the consequences." General Zektar laughed when he heard the message. "Tell the human female that the Vorthak Empire does not surrender to anyone. We will add her skull to our trophy collection," his communication officer sent the reply. It was full of threats and insults about what the Vorthak would do to the humans after they won the battle. Admiral Sullivan listened to the response without emotion. She had expected this. "All ships, you heard their answer. The enemy has chosen to fight. Weapons free. Begin the attack." The human fleet stopped moving forward. Every ship turned to face the Vorthak formation. Gun ports opened along their hulls. Energy built up in their weapon systems. The destroyers armed their missile tubes. The battleships charged their main cannons. Commander Ryan Blake watched his weapons console on the UES Thunder Bay. "Kinetic cannons at full power, Admiral. Plasma batteries ready. Quantum torpedoes armed and locked on target. All ships report." "Ready to fire?" came the voice of Commander Sarah Phillips from the UES Valkyrie. Admiral Sullivan looked at the enemy fleet on her main screen. 800 Vorthak warships arranged in their traditional pyramid formation. They thought their numbers and size would win the battle for them. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Fire," Admiral Sullivan said calmly. The first salvo from the human fleet lit up space like a new star being born. The first human weapons hit the Vorthak fleet like thunder from the gods. Kinetic cannons fired metal slugs at incredible speed. These simple pieces of uranium moved so fast they became unstoppable. When they hit the enemy ships, they went straight through the shields and armor like bullets through paper. Commander Sarah Phillips watched from the UES Valkyrie as a massive Vorthak battleship just disappeared. One moment it was there, the next moment it was a cloud of metal pieces floating in space. "Target Alpha 7 eliminated," she reported calmly. "Moving to next target." The kinetic weapons were only the beginning. Human plasma cannons opened. Fire next. These weapons shot streams of superheated gas that was hotter than the center of a star. The plasma was held together by magnetic fields that could be controlled perfectly. When the plasma hit Vorthak ships, it burned through their hulls in seconds. Lieutenant Colonel Matt Johnson commanded a group of missile destroyers. His ships fired quantum torpedoes that used technology the aliens had never seen before. These Weapons created small tears in space-time itself. When they exploded, they made the target ships collapse in on themselves before blowing apart. 15 seconds into the battle, reported Lieutenant Dana Foster from the tactical station. Enemy casualties, 437 ships destroyed, 112 ships badly damaged. The Vorthak fleet tried to fight back. Their energy weapons fired beams of red light at the human ships, but the human shields absorbed the attacks easily. The Vorthak weapons were designed to fight other aliens who used similar technology. They had never faced weapons like the humans used. General Zektar stood on his bridge in shock. Half his fleet was gone in less than 20 seconds. "How is this possible?" he roared at his officers. "Humans are supposed to be primitive." His tactical officer was shaking with fear. "General, their weapons are completely unknown to us. Our shields cannot stop their metal projectiles. Their plasma burns through our armor like it is made of soft cheese." Zektar grabbed the officer by the throat. "Send all ships to attack formation. Ram their vessels if necessary. The Vorthak Empire does not retreat." But it was too late. 3. Human fleet was already moving to their second attack pattern. The destroyers spread out to surround the remaining Vorthak ships. The battleships moved closer to use their short-range weapons. The carriers launched fighter craft that moved faster than anything the Vorthak had ever seen. Captain Ben Harris smiled as his destroyer UES Lightning fired another salvo. Enemy flagship targeted and locked, firing full spread of quantum torpedoes. The torpedoes flew through space like streaks of blue light. When they hit the Vorthak flagship, the massive ship simply folded in on itself and vanished. General Zektar and his entire crew were gone in an instant. The remaining Vorthak ships tried to run away. They turned their ships around and tried to escape to hyperspace. But human targeting computers had already calculated where they would go. The AI systems could predict every possible escape route in milliseconds. "No survivors," Admiral Sullivan announced over the fleet communication system. "Continue firing until all hostile vessels are eliminated." The human weapons kept firing. Kinetic rounds, plasma streams, and quantum torpedoes filled space with deadly light. Every shot hit its target perfectly. The human computers never missed. Their weapons never failed. One by one, the Vorthak ships died. Some tried to surrender, but the humans had heard their threats. These aliens had destroyed entire planets full of innocent people. They had bragged about taking skulls as trophies. They deserved no mercy. Commander Ryan Blake watched the last enemy destroyer explode in a ball of fire. All Vorthak vessels. Eliminated, Admiral. Total battle time, 37 seconds. Human casualties, 0. The space around Kepler 442 was now filled with floating debris. Pieces of Vorthak ships drifted slowly in all directions. The entire enemy fleet that had terrorized the galaxy for years was nothing but scrap metal. Admiral Sullivan activated her communication system. "All Council vessels, this is Admiral Sullivan. The immediate threat has been eliminated. Please, maintain your positions while we scan for survivors." But there were no survivors. The human attack had been too fast and too complete. 800 Vorthak warships had been destroyed in less than 40 seconds. Not a single enemy had escaped. On the alien council ships, everyone stood in shocked silence. Ambassador Kethvar stared at his tactical display with his mouth hanging open. The screen showed empty space where the Vorthak fleet had been just moments before. "Impossible," whispered Captain Yelnara. 800 ships destroyed in 37 seconds. How do they have such power? The Korath warrior Gorthmel fell to his knees. "I fought the Vorthak for 30 years. I lost 3 ships and half my crew trying to destroy just one of their vessels. The humans destroyed their entire invasion force faster than I can count." Admiral Morrison's voice came through the communication system. "Council vessels, this is Admiral Morrison. The immediate threat has been neutralized. Admiral Sullivan will now coordinate the elimination of the remaining Vorthak fleets in nearby systems." Admiral Sullivan was already giving new orders to her fleet. "Captain Rodriguez, take Destroyer Group Alpha to the Tau Ceti system. Intelligence reports a Vorthak supply fleet hiding there. Captain Harris, your group will hit their repair facilities in the Ross system. The human ships began to move out in different directions. They moved with the same perfect coordination they had shown in battle. Within minutes, most of the fleet had jumped to hyperspace to hunt down the remaining Vorthak forces. Only a few human ships stayed behind to protect the Council vessels and help with rescue operations. But everyone knew the war was already over. The Vorthak Empire that had terrified the galaxy for decades was finished. The humans had ended it in less than 1 minute of actual fighting. The age of Vorthak terror was over. The age of human dominance had begun. News of the human victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On every space station, every trading post, and every inhabited world, people could not believe what they were hearing. The mighty Vorthak Empire had been destroyed in 37 seconds. On the trading station at Kepler 186, aliens from dozens of different species gathered around the news displays. A Korath warrior named Gorth Ak slammed his massive fist on the bar counter. "I fought the Vorthak for 30 cycles," he growled. "Lost 3 ships and half my crew. The humans destroyed their entire invasion force in less time than it takes to drink a mug of ale." A small, furry alien named Pip Tell shook his head in disbelief. "My people, the Yutani, have been hiding from the Vorthak for 50 years. We moved our entire civilization to the edge of the galaxy to avoid them. Now you tell me some newcomers from Earth wiped them out completely?" The bartender, a blue-skinned Aquari female, served drinks with shaking hands. "I saw the battle recordings myself. Human ships moved like they were dancing. Every shot hit its target. Every enemy ship died. It was like watching gods fight mortals." Similar conversations were happening throughout the galaxy. On the crystal world of Thekmor Prime, the living crystal beings vibrated with excitement. Elder Shardith, who was over 2,000 years old, had never seen anything like the human display of power. "Their weapons use principles we do not understand," Shardith told the gathering of crystal elders. "They accelerate matter to impossible speeds. They control plasma with magnetic fields stronger than our sun. They bend space and time itself to destroy their enemies." On the warrior world of Korath, the tribal leaders met in emergency session. Chief Wartalk, leader of the Red Claw clan, stood before the War Council. "Brothers, we have always believed that strength comes from big muscles and sharp claws. The humans have shown us that strength comes from smart minds and better tools." The Korath had always prided themselves on being the greatest warriors in the galaxy. They fought with honor and courage in personal combat, but they had never seen anything like human military technology. "What shall we do?" asked War Chief Groktar of the Iron Fang tribe. "Should we challenge these humans to prove who is stronger?" Wartalk shook his head. "No, brother, we should learn from them. Any species that can destroy 800 Vorthak ships in 37 seconds is not an enemy we want to make." Meanwhile, on Earth, President Helen Carter sat in the Situation Room watching reports from across the galaxy. General Paul Rodriguez, head of the military, pointed to the star map on the big screen. "All Vorthak strongholds have been eliminated," he reported. "Admiral Walker took out their homeworld 3 hours ago. Admiral Chen destroyed their shipyards in the Vega system. Admiral Thompson eliminated their last fleet near Alpha Centauri." President Carter nodded. "What about civilian casualties?" "Minimal. Our forces targeted only military installations and enemy ships. We're already sending humanitarian aid to liberated worlds." Secretary of Defense Linda Hayes entered the room carrying a tablet computer. "Madam President, we're receiving communication. Requests from over 50 different alien governments. They all want to establish diplomatic relations with Earth." President Carter smiled. "I bet they do. 6 months ago, most of them thought we were primitive cave dwellers. Now they want to be our friends." General Rodriguez pulled up another display. "There's more. Our intelligence network reports that 12 different species are trying to steal our technology. They're sending spies to Earth and trying to capture our weapons. Let them try, President Carter said calmly. Even if they get their hands on our equipment, they can't copy it. Our advantages come from integrated systems, artificial intelligence, and our entire approach to warfare. She was right. The aliens were thinking about individual pieces of technology. They wanted to copy human guns or steal human ships, but they didn't understand that human military power came from everything working together. Human weapons were controlled by AI computers that could think faster than any alien mind. Human tactics were based on thousands of years of constant warfare. Human coordination used quantum communication systems that the aliens couldn't even detect. Back in space, Admiral Morrison met with the Galactic Council leaders on the neutral station at Proxima 7. The meeting room was packed with representatives from hundreds of different species. Everyone wanted to hear what the humans had to say. Ambassador Kethavar spoke for the council. Admiral Morrison, on behalf of all free peoples in the galaxy, we thank you for saving us from the Vorthak threat. But we must ask, how did humanity develop such advanced weapons in secret? Morrison stood before the assembly. He looked calm and confident, like a teacher explaining something simple to children. The answer is not complicated. While your species achieved peace and prosperity, humanity spent 5,000 years perfecting the art of war. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's history. Images appeared of human soldiers throughout time. Warriors with spears and shields, knights in armor with swords, soldiers with guns and cannons, pilots flying fighter jets, space marines in powered armor. We never stopped fighting, Morrison continued. We fought with sticks and stones. We fought with metal and fire. We fought with nuclear weapons that could destroy entire cities. Every generation of humans created better ways to kill their enemies. The aliens watched the display in fascination and horror. They saw humans fighting each other in thousands of different wars. They saw cities burning and armies marching. They saw weapons that became more and more deadly over time. When we achieved spaceflight, we didn't stop innovating, Morrison explained. We accelerated our research. We knew that a hostile galaxy might not welcome newcomers. So we prepared for the worst. Council leader Irin Tal raised her hand. What does humanity want from the galaxy now? Will you conquer us like the Vorthak tried to do? Morrison shook his head. We want peace, trade, and cooperation. But understand this. We will not tolerate aggression against innocent species. The Vorthak learned this lesson. Others should remember it. The meeting ended with most species offering alliance treaties to Earth. They promised trade deals, technology, exchanges, and mutual defense pacts. Everyone wanted to be friends with the species that had saved the galaxy. But in the back rooms and secret chambers, other conversations were taking place. Some aliens were planning to steal human technology. Others were forming alliances against Earth. A few were even thinking about finding ways to destroy humanity before they became too powerful. Admiral Morrison knew about these secret plans. Human intelligence networks were already watching every suspicious activity in the galaxy. Earth was ready for whatever came next. 6 months after the Vorthak destruction, the galaxy was a different place. Trade routes that had been closed for decades were open again. Planets that had lived in fear were now building new cities. Species that had hidden from the Vorthak were coming out of their secret shelters. But the most important change was how everyone looked at humanity. The humans were no longer seen as primitive newcomers. They were now the most feared and respected military force in known space. Captain Noah Thompson commanded the UES Guardian, a massive battleship that patrolled the outer rim of the galaxy. His ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. It was stationed permanently at the edge of known space, watching for threats from beyond. Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from the Kepler 442 system. reported his communication officer, Lieutenant Amy Foster. "A group of pirates is attacking a merchant convoy." Thompson nodded. "Set course for Kepler 442, maximum speed. The May." Guardian jumped to hyperspace and arrived at the battle scene in less than 10 minutes. They found 6 pirate ships attacking a convoy of Aquari merchant vessels. The pirates were using old Vorthak weapons they had salvaged from the destroyed fleet. "This is Captain Thompson of the UES Guardian," he announced over an open communication channel. "Pirate vessels, you have 10 seconds to surrender or we will open fire." The pirate leader, a Korath criminal named Scarfang, laughed at the warning. "One human ship against 6 of us? You must be insane!" Thompson counted down from 10. When he reached 0, the Guardian fired a single quantum torpedo. The pirate flagship simply vanished in a flash of blue light. The other 5 pirate ships immediately surrendered. "Guardian to merchant convoy," Thompson announced. "You are safe now. The pirates have been neutralized." The Aquari captain's voice was full of gratitude. "Thank you, human ship. You saved our lives. How can we repay you?" "No payment necessary," Thompson replied. "Protecting innocent civilians is what we do." This scene was repeated hundreds of times across the galaxy. Human ships appeared wherever there was trouble. Pirates, raiders, and criminals quickly learned to avoid any system where humans might show up. The galaxy was becoming a safer place. On Earth, President Helen Carter was meeting with her military advisors. The war room was filled with displays showing the current state of galactic affairs. General Paul Rodriguez pointed to a map of the Outer Rim territories. "We've established permanent bases in 12 key systems," he reported. "Our patrol ships are maintaining order throughout the former Vorthak territories. Crime rates have dropped by 80% in the past 6 months. Secretary of Defense Linda Hayes added more information. "We're also helping rebuild the damaged worlds. Our engineering teams are constructing new cities on planets the Vorthak destroyed. We're providing food and medical supplies to refugee populations." President Carter studied the reports with satisfaction. "What about the alien governments? Are they cooperating with our peacekeeping efforts?" "Most of them are," General Rodriguez replied. "The Galactic Council has officially recognized Earth as a major power. They've asked us to take permanent seats on the Security Committee, but not everyone in the galaxy was happy with human dominance. In a secret meeting room on the dark world of Obsidian Prime, representatives from several alien species gathered to discuss what they called the human problem. Ambassador Vextar from the Hegemony Empire spoke first. "The humans have upset the balance of power in the galaxy. They destroyed the Vorthak so easily that now everyone fears them. This cannot be allowed to continue." General Clickmoth from the Insectoid Collective agreed. "My species has ruled this sector for 1,000 years. We will not bow down to some mammals from a primitive world." A hooded figure in the corner spoke with a strange, mechanical voice. "The Synthetic Alliance has analyzed human technology. Their artificial intelligence systems are far beyond anything we have developed. If we do not act soon, they will become unstoppable." Ambassador Vextar leaned forward. "What do you suggest?" "We form a secret alliance," the synthetic replied. "We pool our resources and develop new weapons specifically designed to fight humans. Then we strike all at once before they can respond." The conspirators agreed to the plan. Over the next few months, they began building a secret fleet and developing anti-human weapons. They recruited other species who were jealous or afraid of human power. They established hidden bases in empty star systems. But they made one crucial mistake. They underestimated human intelligence gathering capabilities. Admiral Morrison sat in his office on Earth Defense Headquarters reading intelligence reports. His AI assistant, an advanced computer program named Alice, had been monitoring alien communications across the galaxy. "Admiral, we have confirmed evidence of a conspiracy against Earth," Alice reported in her calm female voice. 17 different species are involved. They have constructed a fleet of approximately 600 ships in the Tau Ophiuchi system. Morrison nodded. He had been expecting something like this. What is their planned target? They intend to attack the Sol system directly. They believe that if they can destroy Earth, the human fleet will collapse without central command. Morrison smiled grimly. They still don't understand how we operate. Alice, send a message to Admiral Sullivan. Tell her to prepare Operation Cleansing Fire. 3 days later, the alien conspiracy launched their attack. 600 ships from 17 different species jumped into the Sol system at the same time. They expected to find Earth defended by a small patrol fleet. Instead, they found the entire human military waiting for them. Admiral Katie Sullivan commanded over 1,000 human warships, arranged in perfect battle formation around Earth. The conspiracy fleet found themselves surrounded by the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. Attention, conspiracy vessels, Admiral Sullivan announced. This is Admiral Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. You are guilty of planning genocide against the human species. Surrender immediately or face total destruction. The alien fleet tried to fight. They had spent months developing what they thought were anti-human weapons, but their technology was still centuries behind human capabilities. The battle lasted less than 2 minutes. When it was over, the conspiracy fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single human ship had been damaged. The message was clear to every species in the galaxy. Challenging humanity was suicide. Ambassador Vexitar's final transmission before his ship exploded was heard across the galaxy. We underestimated them. The humans are not just advanced. They are monsters who think 10 steps ahead of everyone else. After the failed attack, no alien species ever again tried to challenge human dominance. The galaxy settled into a new peace under human protection. Trade flourished, science advanced. Art and culture bloomed. The age of fear was over. The age of human guardianship had begun. 2 years had passed since humanity saved the galaxy from the Vorthak Empire. The human fleet now patrolled every major trade route and protected hundreds of worlds. But Admiral Morrison knew that bigger challenges were coming from beyond the known galaxy. Deep space monitoring stations had detected strange signals coming from the void between galaxies. These signals showed patterns that suggested intelligent life, but the technology was unlike anything anyone had seen before. The signals were getting stronger, which meant something was coming closer. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereign as it patrolled the outer rim. Her ship was now equipped with the latest human technology, including quantum sensors that could detect objects millions of light years away. Captain, we're picking up massive energy signatures. From the direction of the Magellanic Clouds, reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner. Whatever is out there is bigger than anything we've encountered before. Lisa frowned as she studied the sensor data. How big are we talking about? The energy output suggests ships that are at least 50 kilometers long, Alex replied. And there appear to be thousands of them. Lisa immediately sent the information to Earth Command. Within minutes, she received orders to return to Sol system for an emergency meeting of all fleet commanders. On Earth, the Situation Room was filled with worried faces. President Helen Carter looked at the holographic display showing the approaching threat. The unknown fleet was still 6 months away, but it was moving faster than anything should be able to move. What do we know about them? President Carter asked. General Paul Rodriguez consulted his tablet. Our best scientists have analyzed the energy signatures. These ships use technology that bends space-time in ways we can't understand. They're not using hyperspace drives like everyone else in the galaxy. They're actually moving space around them. Admiral Morrison studied the tactical display. How many ships are we looking at? At least 3,000 vessels, Rodriguez replied. The largest ones are massive. They're bigger than space stations. We estimate they could carry millions of beings each. Secretary of Defense Linda Hayes looked grim. Do we know if they're hostile? Unknown. They haven't responded to any communication attempts. They're just coming straight toward our galaxy at impossible speed. President Carter made a decision. Alert all human fleets. Recall every ship to defensive positions around Earth and our allied worlds. If these newcomers want a fight, we'll give them one they'll never forget. But Admiral Morrison had a different idea. Madam President, I suggest we try a different approach first. Let me take a small fleet to meet them halfway. If they are hostile, I can report back before they reach our defenses. If they're peaceful, maybe we can establish communication. President Carter considered the proposal. How many ships would you take? 50 of our best vessels. Enough to make a statement, but not enough to appear threatening. 3 days later, Admiral Morrison led a task force of 50 human ships toward the edge of the galaxy. His flagship was the UES Retribution, the most advanced battleship in the fleet. The other ships included destroyers, cruisers, and support vessels, all equipped with the latest weapons and defenses. Captain Ben Harris commanded the destroyer UES Lightning as part of Morrison's fleet. Admiral, we're approaching the contact zone. Still no response to our communication attempts. Morrison nodded. All ships, maintain alert status. Weapons powered, but not targeted. We don't want to start a war by accident. Then space in front of them began to change. Reality twisted and bent as massive shapes appeared from nowhere. The unknown ships materialized one by one, each one larger than anything the humans had ever seen. The lead vessel was over 100, kilometers long and covered in strange crystalline structures that glowed with inner light. It looked like a living creature more than a machine. Behind it came dozens of other ships, each one unique and beautiful in an alien way. "My God," whispered Captain Harris. "They're enormous." Morrison opened a communication channel. "Unknown. Vessels, this is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." For a moment, there was only silence. Then a voice responded, speaking perfect English, but with an accent that sounded like music. "Greetings, young ones. We are the Ancients. We have been watching your galaxy for many cycles, waiting for a species worthy of contact. Your recent actions against the Vorthak have proven that humanity has achieved the necessary level of development." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. "How long have you been watching us?" "We have observed your species since you first left your home world. We have seen your wars, your growth, your technological advancement. Most species in this galaxy disappoint us with their weakness and lack of vision. But humans show promise." The lead ancient ship moved closer. Up close, Morrison could see that it was not built, but grown. The hull looked like living coral, and energy flowed through it like blood through veins. "What do you want with us?" Morrison asked. "We wish to test you," the ancient replied, "to see if you are truly ready to join the greater community of advanced civilizations. Your victory over the Vorthak was impressive, but it was only the beginning." Morrison didn't like the sound of that. "What kind of test?" "Beyond your galaxy lies a threat that makes the Vorthak Empire look like children playing with toys. The Devourers are coming. They consume entire galaxies, turning all matter into energy to fuel their expansion. They will reach this galaxy in approximately 100 of your years." The communication channel filled with shocked voices from the human ships. Morrison quickly ordered radio silence. "If these Devourers are so dangerous, why don't you stop them yourselves?" Morrison asked. "We are old and few in number," the ancient explained. "Our time of warfare is past, but you humans are young and strong. You have the potential to become the galaxy's defenders if you can pass our tests." Morrison considered the situation carefully. "What exactly do these tests involve?" "Combat trials against our automated defense systems. Tactical problems that will challenge your strategic thinking. Technological puzzles that will test your innovation. If you succeed, we will share knowledge that will help you prepare for the Devourers. And if we fail, then your species will remain as it is, and the galaxy will fall when the Devourers arrive." Morrison made his decision. "We accept your tests, But we have conditions. Our people must be allowed to observe and learn from the trials. And you must share basic information about the Devourers so we know what we're preparing for." The ancient ship pulsed with brighter light. "Agreed. Follow us to the testing ground. Your first trial begins in 3 solar days." As the ancient fleet began moving deeper into space, Morrison sent a message back to Earth. "Mission Control. This is Admiral Morrison. We have made contact with a species calling themselves the Ancients. They claim there's a bigger threat coming and want to test humanity's readiness to face it. Recommend full fleet mobilization. We're going to need everyone." The real test of humanity was about to begin. The ancient testing ground was unlike anything humans had ever seen. It existed in a pocket of space that had been specially created for combat trials. Artificial stars provided light, while gravity fields kept everything in place. The testing area was the size of an entire solar system. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, looking at the massive structures floating in space around them. Ancient technology had built obstacle courses, target ranges, and battle arenas that defied the laws of physics. Some structures were solid, others were made of pure energy, and a few seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at the same time. "Admiral, we're receiving detailed information about the first test," reported Captain Ben Harris from the UES Lightning. "It appears to be a straight combat trial. We're supposed to fight our way through a series of automated defense platforms." Morrison studied the tactical display. The test course stretched for millions of kilometers and was filled with weapon systems that looked incredibly advanced. Energy cannons, missile launchers, beam weapons, and devices he couldn't even identify. "How many defense platforms total?" Morrison asked. "Sensors show approximately 5,000 individual targets," Harris replied. "They're arranged in layers, with the strongest defenses at the end." Morrison opened a communication channel to the ancient observers. "This is Admiral Morrison. Are there any restrictions on how we complete this test?" The musical voice of the ancient commander responded immediately. "No restrictions. Use whatever tactics and weapons you consider appropriate. The goal is simply to reach the end of the course. Most species require several attempts to succeed." Morrison smiled. The ancients clearly didn't understand human military doctrine. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Form assault formation, Alpha 7. We're going to show these ancients how humans fight." The 50 human ships spread out in a wide attacking formation. Destroyers took the lead positions, followed by cruisers and battleships. Each ship powered up its weapons and prepared for rapid fire. "All weapon systems green," reported Commander Sarah Phillips from the UES Valkyrie. "Kinetic cannons loaded with armor-piercing rounds. Plasma batteries at maximum charge. Quantum torpedoes armed and ready." Morrison gave the order to attack. "All ships, weapons free. Begin the assault." The human fleet struck the ancient defenses like a hammer blow. Kinetic rounds, traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, smashed through the first layer of platforms in seconds. Plasma streams melted anything they touched. Quantum torpedoes created space-time distortions that destroyed entire groups of targets at once. The ancient defense systems tried to fight back. Energy beams lanced out at the human ships, but the human shields absorbed the attacks easily. Missiles launched from hidden platforms, but human point defense systems shot them down before they could hit their targets. "First layer eliminated," reported Captain Lisa Rodriguez from the UES Sovereign. "Moving to engage second layer defenses." The second layer was stronger than the first. The ancient platforms used more advanced weapons and better armor, but human technology was still superior. The human ships moved through the defenses like sharks through a school of fish. Lieutenant Colonel Matt Johnson coordinated the missile destroyer attacks, firing full spread of quantum torpedoes at grid reference 77 Alpha, target-rich environment. Dozens of quantum torpedoes flew toward a cluster of ancient platforms. When they exploded, they created a chain reaction that destroyed everything. In a 50-kilometer radius. "Impressive," came the voice of the ancient observer. Most species require hours to clear the first 2 layers. You have eliminated them in 12 minutes. Morrison wasn't surprised. Human weapons were designed to fight real enemies, not testing platforms. The ancient defenses were advanced, but they were programmed to provide a fair challenge. Human weapons were designed to provide overwhelming superiority. The 3rd layer presented tougher opposition. The ancient platforms used energy shields and advanced tactics. Some of them could teleport to new positions. Others split into multiple smaller targets when hit. Adapting to new threat parameters, announced Commander Ryan Blake from the UES, Thunder Bay. Switching to sustained fire mode, targeting power sources instead of armor. The human ships changed their tactics without missing a beat. Instead of trying to destroy the platforms directly, they targeted the energy sources that powered them. Once the power was cut, the platforms became helpless targets. 4th layer approaching, reported Captain Harris. These ones look different, larger and more heavily armed. The 4th layer platforms were the size of space stations. They had thick armor and powerful weapons. They also seemed to learn from the tactics used against the earlier layers. They're adapting to our attack patterns, observed Lieutenant Dana Foster from her tactical station. Recommendations? Morrison thought for a moment. Switch to random. Targeting. Don't use any pattern they can predict. And bring up the heavy weapons. Time to see what these platforms can handle. The human battleships moved forward and fired their main cannons. These weapons were normally used against heavily fortified positions or large enemy ships. When they hit the ancient platforms, the results were spectacular. Explosions lit up space like new stars being born. 5th and final layer detected, announced Commander Phillips. Admiral, you need to see this. Morrison looked at his tactical display and felt his breath catch. The final layer wasn't made up of individual platforms. It was a single massive structure that looked like a mechanical planet. It was covered in thousands of weapon ports and protected by energy shields that glowed like purple fire. That thing is the size of Earth's moon, whispered Captain Rodriguez. The ancient observer's voice came through the communication system. This is the final test. The Guardian platform has never been defeated by any species on their first attempt. Most require dozens of tries to develop the correct strategy. Morrison studied the massive structure carefully. It was covered in weapons, but it was also a single target. All ships concentrate fire on grid reference Delta 99, full power, everything we have. All 50 human ships fired simultaneously. Kinetic rounds, plasma beams, and quantum torpedoes struck the same point on the Guardian platform's surface. The combined firepower was enormous, but the platform's shields held firm. The Guardian platform began to fight back. Thousands of energy beams lanced out at the human fleet. The volume of fire was incredible, but the human ships were fast and their shields were strong. They dodged what they could and absorbed what they couldn't avoid. Shields down to 60%, reported Captain Harris. That thing packs a punch. Morrison realized they needed a different approach. All ships, form up in attack formation. Beta 3. We're going to use concentrated alpha strikes on rotating target points, overwhelm their shields through focused fire. The human ships regrouped and began hitting the Guardian platform at specific points in sequence. They would concentrate all their firepower on one location until the shields failed, then immediately switch to a new target point. The strategy worked. Within minutes, the Guardian platform's shields began to fail in multiple locations. Once, the shields were down. Human weapons tore through the armor underneath like paper. Internal explosions detected, reported Commander Blake. The platform is breaking apart. The massive Guardian platform shuddered and began to come apart. Secondary. Explosions raced across its surface as critical systems failed. Finally, it broke into pieces and drifted away as harmless debris. Test complete, announced the ancient observer. His voice sounded surprised. Total time, 47 minutes. Previous record was 6 hours and 18 minutes, held by the Hegemon Empire. Morrison allowed himself a small smile. Ancient vessel. This is Admiral Morrison. We have completed your first test. What comes next? Rest and preparation, the ancient replied. The next test will challenge your tactical thinking rather than your firepower, but first we must recalibrate our systems. Your performance exceeded all our projections. As the human fleet regrouped and prepared for the next challenge, Morrison sent a message back to Earth. Mission Control, first test completed successfully. Recommend accelerating production of all weapons systems. If the real enemy is worse than these tests, we're going to need everything we can build. The first trial was over, but Morrison knew it was just the beginning. The real test of humanity's survival was still to come. The second ancient test was completely different from the first. Instead of a straight combat trial, the humans found themselves facing a massive tactical puzzle that stretched across an entire star system. The test area contained planets, asteroids, space stations, and mobile defense platforms all connected in a complex web of strategic positions. Admiral Morrison studied the holographic display on the bridge of the UES Retribution. The tactical situation was incredibly complicated. There were dozens of objectives to capture, enemy forces that moved according to unknown patterns, and time limits that forced quick decisions. "Admiral, we're receiving the mission parameters," reported Captain Ben Harris from the UES Lightning. "We need to capture and hold 12 specific locations while preventing enemy forces from taking 3 critical facilities. We have 4 hours to complete the objectives." Morrison nodded as he reviewed the data. "What about enemy strength and capabilities?" "Unknown. The ancient systems will generate opposition based on our actions. The more aggressive we are, the stronger the resistance becomes. But if we move too slowly, we automatically fail." This was exactly the kind of challenge that human military doctrine was designed to handle. For thousands of years, human armies had faced complex tactical situations where multiple objectives had to be achieved simultaneously with limited resources. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," he announced over the fleet communication system. "We're going to use standard multi-objective assault doctrine. Captain Rodriguez, take Destroyer Group Alpha and secure objectives 1 through 4. Captain Phillips, your cruiser squadron will handle objectives 5 through 8. Captain Harris, the remaining destroyers will capture objectives 9 through 12. "What about the defensive positions?" asked Captain Lisa Rodriguez from the UES Sovereign. "I'll handle those personally with the battleship squadron," Morrison replied. "Our job is to keep the enemy away from the critical facilities while you secure the capture points." The human fleet split into 4 separate task forces and began moving toward their assigned objectives. Each group moved with the precision and coordination that marked human military operations. They had practiced scenarios like this thousands of times in training simulations. Captain Rodriguez led her destroyers toward the first cluster of objectives. As they approached, ancient defense systems activated and began generating enemy forces. Automated ships appeared from nowhere and moved to intercept the human advance. "Contacts inbound," reported her tactical officer. 12 enemy vessels closing fast." Rodriguez smiled. "All ships engage at maximum range. Let's see what these simulated enemies can do." The human destroyers opened fire with their kinetic cannons. The enemy ships tried to dodge, but human targeting computers predicted their movements perfectly. Within minutes, all 12 enemy vessels were destroyed. "Objectives 1 and 2 secured," Rodriguez reported. "Moving to target 3. Meanwhile, Captain Phillips was having similar success with her cruiser squadron. The ancient test systems kept generating stronger opposition, but human weapons and tactics proved superior every time. "Enemy battle group eliminated," Phillips announced. "Objectives 5, 6, and 7 now under our control. Proceeding to final target." Admiral Morrison watched the tactical display with satisfaction. His plan was working perfectly. By dividing the fleet and attacking multiple objectives simultaneously, they were completing the mission faster than the ancient systems could adapt. But then the test suddenly became much harder. "Admiral, massive enemy reinforcements detected," reported Captain Harris urgently. 60-plus contacts approaching the critical defense facilities, ETA 12 minutes. Morrison looked at his display and realized what was happening. The Ancient. Test systems had been analyzing human tactics and were now generating a coordinated counterattack designed to exploit any weaknesses in the human plan. All task forces, abort current missions and return to defensive positions immediately, Morrison ordered. Priority 1 is protecting the critical facilities. This was the real test. The Ancients wanted to see if humans could adapt their tactics. When the situation changed, many species would panic when their original plan stopped working. Others would stubbornly stick to their failing strategy, but humans had been dealing with changing battlefield conditions for millennia. New plan, Morrison announced. We're going to use the asteroids as cover and set up ambush positions. Let the enemy come to us, then hit them from multiple directions simultaneously. The human ships quickly moved into position among the asteroid field surrounding the critical facilities. They powered down their engines and weapon systems to minimum levels, making them almost impossible to detect. The enemy force approached confidently, expecting to find the human ships still scattered across the system trying to complete their original objectives. Instead, they flew straight into a carefully prepared trap. All ships, fire, Morrison commanded. The asteroid field lit up with weapons fire as 50 human ships opened fire simultaneously. The enemy force was caught completely by surprise. They had expected to face scattered resistance, not a concentrated ambush. Kinetic. Rounds smashed through enemy hulls. Plasma beams carved enemy ships into pieces. Quantum torpedoes created space-time distortions that destroyed entire enemy formations. Enemy force eliminated, reported Captain Rodriguez. No survivors detected. Morrison checked his chronometer. They still had 90 minutes left to complete the original objectives. All task forces, resume your assignments, fast and efficient. Let's finish this test. The human ships spread out again and completed their remaining objectives with mechanical precision. The ancient defense systems tried to generate more opposition, but they couldn't keep up with the speed and coordination of the human advance. All. Objective secured, announced Captain Phillips. Total time, 2 hours and 47 minutes. The ancient observer's voice came through the communication system, and for the first time, it sounded genuinely impressed. Test complete. Tactical. Rating. Exceptional. Your species demonstrates remarkable adaptability and coordination. Most species require multiple attempts to complete this trial. Morrison opened a channel to the ancient ship. Thank you. What is our next test? The final trial will test your technological innovation and problem-solving abilities. You will be presented with an unknown enemy using weapons and tactics you have never encountered. You must develop countermeasures and defeat them using only the resources available in the test area. Morrison nodded. This sounded like the kind of challenge that would really test human ingenuity. We're ready when you are. Excellent. The final test will begin in 24 hours. Use that time to rest and prepare. And Admiral Morrison, this last test has never been passed by any species on their first attempt. We hope you will be the first. As the human fleet prepared for their final challenge, Morrison sent another report back to Earth. Mission Control, 2 tests completed successfully. Final trial in 24 hours. Recommend all research teams focus on adaptive weapon systems and rapid prototyping capabilities. We may need to invent new technology on the spot. The message that came back from President Carter was brief but encouraging. Good luck, Admiral. The entire human race is counting on you. Morrison looked out at the strange alien testing ground and wondered what impossible challenge would be waiting for them tomorrow. Whatever it was, humanity would find a way to overcome it. They always did.